Hey everybody, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. We're doing a little bit of a Q&A. So fire away those questions in the YouTube chat. I'll get to them as we go. We're also going to be talking a little bit about our Black Friday sale. First thing, we'll get that out of the way. And I prefer questions about trading lifestyle, psychology, my experiences, rather than, hey, can you look at this chart? But I'll make some exceptions just because today was a very unusual day. So we could talk about today a bit. It's what I call an anomaly day, which is just, you take the 250 whatever trading days in the year, and this is the 1%er day, where you get some very unusual price action and a ton of volatility. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. But first things first, our Black Friday sale is live. Posting the link in the chat room. So what we got on sale is our membership, monthly membership. We've switched our plans from an annual. We've knocked it down to a 3-month or 6-month, same discounted prices. If you're on the 6-month semi-annual plan, I just made a little mini risk management stop loss course that's included with that. We got 20% off all of our courses. My favorite course is definitely the entries and exits one. I made that originally back in 2018 or 19, and I redid it, I believe, last year and added an extra 5 years of trading experience and knowledge into the newer version. And that's definitely, in my opinion, the most complete guide for how I trade and what my style is. And of course, all our indicators, 20% off as well. I've been using the Super Stack a lot more recently just because we've been dropping and things have been getting extreme. And I've been using those to play some gap down opens and things like RGTI recently. But of course, the back burner, you've heard me talk about that a million times. So feel free to ask any questions about our services and such. But again, open to anything. I got my beer cracked. I've got 45 minutes. Check out our stuff. All right. So first things first, is the market controlled by anyone? I know it's played by them, but what percent? If not 100 to 80%, then it's controlled by the market participants, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Who's the market controlled by? The market participants. Obviously, not everybody's created equal. Somebody trading with $100 million has more of an impact on the market than somebody trading with $100,000. It also depends on what market we are talking about. You go back a few decades ago, I'm currently reading the Market Wizards book, and there are some people in there where back in the 80s, back in the 70s, when trading was a lot less popularized, there were people who were able to accrue position sizes trading some of these futures markets, soybean futures or whatever, where they were very much impacting the market. The more market participants we have, the more liquidity there is, the less an individual is going to be controlling the market. But institutions, major players definitely influence things a lot. But I don't like, you don't want to approach the market with that mindset that there's some, big bad person behind the scenes with the puppet strings controlling everything. The way that I just view it is, yeah, some people have a ton of money and, if they're going to move the market, I'm just going to ride their coattails. And I'll pick up the crumbs that they leave behind, just like, the fish that ride on the shark's side and get the scraps. I'm fine with that. I don't need to make $100 million. So, is it a big mix of greed, hope, luck, and intuition? Yeah, all that's involved. Intuition definitely is a factor. Intuition comes from experience. When you've seen something time and time again, one of my videos on YouTube was nailing the 2018 bottom. And the only reason I had the intuition to nail the 2018 bottom, let's go look at it on the NASDAQ. Nailed the 2018 bottom because I had played a bunch of dumps before and I was just comfortable that we were reaching a capitulation bottom. And I think the day before I talked about, I'm buying, and laid out the mindset and the game plan, and that was intuition from experience. So in my opinion, intuition and experience go hand in hand. Simon felt paralyzed to place a trade on the way up, now scared to sell, diving deep in the red. It's insane that emotions grab so hard and it's so hard to resist. Yeah, definitely insane. That's the name of the game, emotions. And again, it's breaking the seal, right? I would suggest partial positions. So much of the paralysis that newer market participants feel is having the all or nothing mindset, whereas selling 20% of a position is very easy, but also what that does is psychologically shifts things. And I'm on the verge of selling my HSA account. You got your HSA health savings account for tax benefits. You've got, and then the cash in there you can put into a money market fund or into the S&P 500. So I've had it in the S&P 500 for the last few years. It's up 70% in 2 years, maybe now 67% or something. But I'm going to be on the verge of selling that and taking profit in that. That said, that size compared to my IRA long-term SPY position is like 2 to 3%. Why does it matter? Psychologically, it's breaking the seal. It's unlocking the profit-taking mindset, the sizing down positions, the raising more cash. The pullback that we're seeing right now is extremely overdue. I just looked up a post that I made in the Chart Guys chat room, and I'll show you a little bit more about our chat room here as part of the Black Friday sale in just a moment. But I dug up a post where I said 2 months ago that I was uncomfortable looking for longer term, long swing positions because of the lack of monthly consolidation. This is the NASDAQ monthly chart. If you go back and look at the last decade, every single bull streak is pretty much 5 to 7 green months. The longest ones are 5 to 7 green months before you get some red months. We just did 7 green months in a row. This monthly consolidation is not surprising in the slightest. Again, 2 months ago, September 18th, I said, I'm not comfortable looking for longer term longs until I'm aligning it with a monthly higher low. And what I would love to see in terms of ease of analysis and my style of trading would be head to daily oversold conditions in the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 were pretty close and have that mark a monthly higher low. If you look back at 2024, this oversold on the daily marked a monthly higher low in August. This oversold on the daily marked a monthly higher low in April. And if we're going to stay strong bull market, daily oversold needs to mark a monthly higher low. There's fear on the daily chart. There is no fear on the monthly chart. I'll start feeling fear on the monthly chart if we fail a back test of previous all-time high resistance and fail to hold it as support. And from where we stand in this moment, that's another 4% drop to even get there. So it all depends on what time frame you're looking at, but there's nothing unusual. Today was an unusual day, just in terms of starting strong, rolling over, massive weakness. But in terms of the monthly consolidation and how it's happening on the daily chart, there's nothing unusual. This is very normal and overdue at this point. The timing's a little bit tricky. A lot of people everybody was looking for the end of the year bull run into, the Santa rally that we see so often. And once we started to see the first little cracks of weakness on the daily, I started thinking, what if the market's going to trick everyone in terms of seasonality? So we'll see how we end up. We got another 5 weeks to go. But again, just want to reiterate, there is nothing unusual about this current pullback right now. Why do we see the Chart Guys logo, emoji, flash briefly? Okay, so Slack chat room. And he's saying, why do we sometimes see this little emoji and then it disappears? That's us manually moving posts. So some members requested that we've got the general chat where everybody's talking. Let me move my face. And some people wanted to be able to filter it to only Chart Guys moderators posts. And so we made another channel, TCG posts. And so every time it's configured so that that emoji sends it to this channel. So we are manually sending our posts into the TCG posts so that it's just filtered of, usually just me, but Lori's post, Dinsy's post sometimes in there. And that emoji does it. So let's go over the Slack chat room real quick. Again, just a whole lot of channels. We've been running it for 10 years now at this point. We got our community channel, which is for memes and off topic and music and things outside of the market because we're strictly business. During market hours, we are on topic, and I'm the deleter. If something is off topic or, it's in the wrong place, I am constantly keeping us on topic and organized because for many of us, trading is a business. Anybody that's a full-time trader, it's all business. And so that is definitely how we approach the market, down to the point where, again, we have a no swear rule. I swear all the time in my real life, constantly, but we do not swear in the chat room because it diminishes, in my experience. I've been running chat rooms even longer than Shark Guys, 10 years. So at this point, probably 13 years of running stock chat rooms, and swearing is and memes and things like that, it just degrades the quality of information and content and, again, business during market hours. But we got our crypto channels, crypto or altcoins, Bitcoin, news, and general headlines. We got our futures channel headed up by Lamont, going over all the futures markets. General chats where all the action happens. Cannabis and psychedelic, mindset, the psychological aspects. People pointing out some great insight into their trading journey. Swing trading channel, short setups. A lot. There's a lot. I'm not going to go through them all. You get the idea. News, uranium. So that's what we got going on in the chat room. And just tons of, I spend all day, every day reading this Slack chat room. And I learn a lot as well. All right, next question. Premature like smashes are appreciated. What was my best trade of the year? Oh, that's a good one. And based on the charts, do you think we'll have a Santa Claus rally? So I'm very open to Santa Claus rally being off the table. That's going to be key for me. Does daily oversold sometime in the next few days mark a low for then December to try and head back up towards those highs? That's what I'm going to be watching for. And again, go back, obviously the Trump tariff dump is not a good example of daily oversold for a monthly high or low. It tried before another big leg down. But go back and look at the 2024 ones and how it happened. Just fast and hard. Bear flag, fake out, big capitulation, little flush there. This one wasn't as serious in April, but there could be clues from those. And again, I'd love to get to daily oversold within the next few days, find a temporary bottom, try and establish some swing trades where, give me a little bit of a bounce. I sell partial, stick my stop under the low. If that's the monthly high or low, I nail it. If not, no harm done. So that's going to be what dictates the Santa rally, in my opinion. Best trade of the year. It's a good question. When was my XLE trade? April. Was that the one? I got to check our super stack super stack indicator because that is what I used for this trade. Just trying to see. Yeah, it was this. I've got two. No, I've got three maybe. Anyways, I don't trade the energy sector. I saw capitulation. I saw a daily super stack. So again, a super stack is when you are oversold, not just oversold, you're at extreme oversold RSI on every time frame on down. So if you're daily oversold super stack, I know we're extreme on the daily, the 12-hour, that's what this grid up here is showing us. The daily, the 12-hour, the 4-hour, the hourly, the 30-minute, the 15-minute, the 5-minute. Every single one of those time frames is crushed. And so I'm confident that if I get in, even if it's not nailing the bottom, that we will likely at least get a short-term bounce. Maybe if it's not the daily bounce, maybe I just get an hourly bounce to position in. So I don't ever trade the energy sector, but I love oversold bounces as one of my edges. And I played that one. And that was here. Just a daily stair-step drop, free fall, and made it an entry and scaled out on the way up. Didn't hold it too long. I was probably all out by the time, held it for a few weeks at most. I really liked that one just because it was utilizing my skill set. Bounces, super stack, to time an entry of something that I don't ever trade. And so there are times I say, give me price levels of dirt. I don't care what it is. I'll trade it. That's a good example of it. Another good one was recently IONQ. IONQ. So here, I was ready to go bear IONQ because I was just on the edge of my seat. How is this range going to break? And it broke bear. And I use this as an example in the risk management. I call it a liquidity grab, talking about the liquidity grab here. Bear break. All right, bears are ready to take over. I'm ready to go short. Wait a second, no follow through. We bear break the lowest level of our range that we've been trading within for 4 months, and we go straight into a daily bounce. I'm looking bull because there's a lack of acceptance under that support level. And then we just traded sideways, and then we exploded. And I grabbed it into the bull break, and I ended up scaling out 3 positions, one early in the 50s, another one in the 60s, nailed the top on my last exit in the 80s, right at 80, and ended up exiting all of that, essentially 42 average to mid 60 average. And it was a 50% win in a few weeks, a month, maybe a month. So I really like that one to grab that momentum. It was a monthly cup and handle is the other reason I was interested in that setup. Resistance, bull flag, go. Biggest failed trade of 2025 is missing this short. I was all over trying to nail this quantum top. I thought this was it. This one stopped me out before it was it. It was one too early. And my lesson and takeaway from that was you don't have to nail it on the way up. You can nail it on the way down and add as you go into the momentum. Because if you stop out trying to nail it on the front side, you miss a lot of the backside. I got some gains on the shorts, but 20% of what I should have gotten. And the last bull trade, I had a real good Tesla one. When was that? I think it was this one. I don't remember the details as much of this one. Just a tightening sideways range. And I think I got it pre-market. If that's a Monday, then yep. No, Thursday? No, I'm not sure. One of the Tesla breakouts. I think that was it. I don't remember the details of that one. But I gave two good answers. No more annual memberships for a number of reasons. Cash flow, flexibility. Also, the number one reason is every now and again we'll get an email from someone. Hey, I just checked my credit card statement. I've been being charged by the chart guys for the last 4 years. I haven't used your service. Can I have a refund? And then, of course, I'm not a jerk. So I look and see, yeah, they haven't logged in. Fine, here's $4,000 or whatever back pay. I don't like doing that. So most companies will say, no, too bad. You didn't exit the way you should have or cancel your membership or whatever. Anyways, that's one of the many reasons. 3 month, 6 month, monthly. Bitcoin check-in. So definitely looking for a Bitcoin temporary bottom in the near term and watching for it to potentially happen before the broader market. We rolled over before the broader market. We started monthly consolidation weeks ago. We've had relative weakness. There was a clue. I mean, I posted it on Twitter, but this is the reaction to the jobs numbers from Bitcoin, spike up, bears eat it up. NASDAQ was very different. The NASDAQ spiked up and we kept heading higher for another hour. So we've had relative weakness forever. We've got relative strength now the last 2 hours. That means nothing. We need relative strength for 2 days to get my attention meaningfully. But why I'm starting to look interested long is Superstack. We're close to setting, we were really close to setting the Superstack 2 hours ago. Daily RSI 25. Right now, the daily and the 12-hour meet the criteria. The shorter term time frames don't. 2 hours ago, all of the time frames, except for maybe one of them, met the criteria. We were on the verge of a daily Superstack firing. And maybe we won't get it now. It's been a clear 4-hour downtrend guide. If you want to keep it simple, when's the last time we've confirmed a 4-hour uptrend? Has not happened since we topped out at 107.5 back here weeks ago. So a week and a half ago, we started a 4-hour downtrend, and we have not confirmed a 4-hour uptrend since then. It's just constant failures. And on it, a bounce overnight. We can bounce to 90,000 and set a lower high. Anything under 93 is just a lower high. So we're close to getting extreme enough where I'll make an attempt. But I'm being really picky. And I posted today, my superpower as a trader is my patience. I don't care if I miss this Bitcoin bounce. If I miss a Bitcoin daily bounce, I lose $0, and my net worth will go up because of my long-term no-touch position. So I have no rush. The trade's either going to come to me exactly as I want it, or I'm not going to take it. And that amount of discipline and not caring about missing a trade keeps you waiting for the A+ setups. And that's where I'm at right now with crypto because it's been lead bears for so long. What's up, Sohm Sound? Look forward to your addition. Do you need lightning fast internet to join the group? You're in the sticks, little sketchy. Lightning fast internet, no. You don't want your internet dropping out in the middle of trades. I'd say play around with it. Pull up a broker and watch the quote box and see what the prices are doing. When my internet's on the fritz, it will lag, where my numbers will freeze and then they'll speed up really quickly for 3 or 4 seconds, catching up with the data that it was missing. That's no good. You want it to be faster than that. But most, you could get. I've had fine enough internet, in a jungle hut in Costa Rica before. It's not hard to get sufficient internet. As far as a setup, I've only got 3 monitors. I got my main monitor that the camera's on. I've got my broker monitor where I'm placing my trades, and I've got my Chart Guys chat room monitor, which is smaller on the right. I can get by with 2. 3 is nice for the chat room aspect, but I say just 2, as long as it's 2. The upgrade from 1 to 2 is massive. When I did it for the first time, way too late into my trading, it's probably 5-6 years in my trading, I thought, wow, I'm an idiot. I cannot believe I didn't do this sooner. 2 to 3, not a huge difference. I prefer 3, but not a huge difference. SPY's been pulling back. We are, 4.5% off the all-time high? We are in a daily downtrend. I didn't get faked out today by going long because if you look at the futures charts, we rejected right off daily resistance. First thing this morning, I said, these are the levels I care about because they are our daily lower highs. It's more clear on the NASDAQ, that lower high that we set. Look at how close we got. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both got, SPY and QQQ both got within $1 of this level, and then we collapsed. The bears were sitting and waiting at that level. So pre-market, I said, the level I care about on SPY is 676.24. We got to 675.56. We got 70 cents away and then collapsed. if we had gotten over it. It depends on how long we stayed over it, but that for me would have been a big shifter of my perception and believing the bulls. But if we don't get over that level, we're still in a daily downtrend. I certainly didn't expect a free fall dump, but a rejection. I actually was looking for a potential 12-hour inverse head and shoulders pre-market. I was saying if we reject from this level, then I'm going to be watching for this to try and shape up. And then obviously an hour and a half into this dump or an hour into this dump, it became very clear something's going on. I don't know if someone's getting liquidated or what. This is unusual price action. And at that point, anything's on the table as far as bear follow through. Do I believe there is a rescheduling possibility for cannabis this year? 2 months ago, I was much more confident this year, obviously, and now much less confident this year. I still favor it as happening versus not happening, but timeline, no, I don't have much confidence at all it happens this year. I've been getting stopped out of my cannabis positions the last 2 days, where I was in this Tilray bull move. I bought it here pre-market. I sell into the strength. I sell partial. My break even's down now around $1. I stopped out on the break of $1. Small red. Cron I just stopped out of today. I was in Cron at somewhere around here, 212 or something. I take profit on the way up. I stopped out with a small win here to offset the small red in Tilray, but I've been stopping out my cannabis positions, and I have no problem just buying after the headline at this point. And the majority of the market is taking that approach. Because again, we had bullish, Trump reposts a cannabis video Sunday, September 28th. You can buy, I bought Tilray at I forget, 120 something. And everybody bought after that news. And there was tons of upside, 38% on that day. You don't got to be in before the headline. That's the lesson. Time is on the bear's side. And I will happily trade after the catalyst and still make profit. Interested in what a user experiences in your live trading room? Check it out. We got multiple live streams a day. Lots of trade review. Forgot to highlight that channel. Some people love it and have been with us for 6, 7, 8 years out of the 10 years. Some people don't like it. So here it goes. Honestly, it's a little bit, we have our swing trade channel and most of the traders are part-time and got full-time jobs and all that. But there's so much going on every single day that it is the serious traders, the full-time traders that like it more just because it's so fast-paced and on the pulse of the market. All just dropping in all the headlines and this is happening. It's definitely, it's my passion and has been for a long time. And again, it makes me a lot of money as a trader. The amount of time someone will post a headline and I grab a trade based off information that I otherwise wouldn't be seeing, it's definitely mutually beneficial in that regard. Aussie members, not a ton, probably a few. Some of them trade futures because of the time difference. Some of them trade crypto. There's not many. I'd say maybe 3 to 5 or something along those lines. It's US and Canada are the most significant. That's another factor. So with today's dump, look at how similar today was to October 10th. This is the NASDAQ futures chart. October 10th is big sucker punch dump day. From the high of the day to the low of the day, 4.84%. From the high of the day to the low of the day, 4.89%. A 0.05% difference. The volume, extremely similar. 934,000 contracts, 976,000 contracts. The S&P 500 is just as similar, October 10th to today. I was very surprised to see just how aligned those ranges are. Let's go back and look at October 10th. So today, bulls controlled the morning, new high, zero follow through, free fall began at 10:45 a.m. October 10th, back. We're going back to October 10th. Sideways, dump starts 10 minutes later. Faster, the initial leg down was faster. And then more of a slow bleed. So faster and harder into the slow bleed versus not quite as fast, not quite as hard into the slow bleed. And we're still slow bleeding a little bit right now. Answered the Bitcoin. If I do trade the Bitcoin, if the trade comes to me, it'll probably be through the ETF because I just love the lack of fees. But if I am going to swing it for multiple days and if I don't have the profit cushion, it depends on when my entry is. If it's at 10 in the morning and then we get a bounce going and I'm able to position, I got profit cushion, I'm fine holding that swing overnight. But, if I can't, if I'm only 2% above my entry and we might see another leg down, then I can always just swap it out for spot. I'll go on Coinbase, sell my ETF, jump on Coinbase, just buy the coins there, same dollar amount. That's a different approach if I want to have full control overnight. But it'll probably be the ETFs. I've been trading crypto through the ETFs way more this year. Yeah, it's going to make taxes easy. There have been years where my Coinbase statements are hundreds of pages. And this year, there is not much at all going on there. It's all right, Marto. Everybody blows it. The difference between successful market participants and those that fail are, do you learn from your lessons or not? Everybody goes through the same lessons. Do you learn from them and improve and do not repeat them? Or do you not learn from them, you don't improve, and you keep repeating them? That's literally the difference maker. And of course, there's a lot that goes into that. The time and the effort and the discipline and are you building your life around it? How high a priority? All of those things go underneath that. But that's really what it is. Do you learn from your lessons and not repeat them or not? Because we all experience the same lessons. How much of a factor was the drop in Bitcoin to the market's drop? Some of a factor. Tom Lee was talking today about how, the liquidation and all the 2 million whatever crypto users, and it looks like somebody's balance sheet potentially has some holes in it. And so, maybe they're liquidating and having to sell into weakness to fix up their balance sheet a bit. He said it more eloquently than that, but I'm open to that being a factor in broader market weakness. But again, the fundamental brained person will talk about NVDA earnings and they'll talk about the AI narrative and they'll talk about all these things and the yen and the yada, yada, yada. And I just pull up the monthly chart and say, yeah, this is completely normal and overdue. 2 months ago, this was overdue for me. And it's happening now. There's nothing surprising about this monthly consolidation. And we need another solid 6% drop for there to start being some red flags on the monthly time frame. Same thing. Yeah, my buddy texted me a few days ago. Hey, are people in your circle talking about this Japanese yen, blah, blah, blah? And my response was, I'm going to give you a word for word response. But it was, no, we're very due for monthly consolidation. Do people in your circle think the Japan situation is likely to cause a huge correction? If they hike rates in December, seems like it could. No, we are more so at We've been going straight up for 7 months. Monthly consolidation is due and inevitable. That was on Monday. Not going to look at individual cryptos. Again, just pull up the daily chart. We're in a clear daily downtrend. We're in a clear 4-hour downtrend. Absolutely nothing changes as long as that is the case. Confirm a 4-hour uptrend. Zoom out to the daily chart. Daily bounce is underway. Tons of space for a daily lower high. Bulls have to then confirm a daily trend change. You have to change one trend, one time frame at a time. And so far, we've been unable to even do the 4-hour. You do the 4-hour just to start the daily. You do the daily to actually do something meaningful. So that means we are days and days away from, we got to bounce for a few days. You got to pull back for a few days. You got to get continuation for a few days. For anything to even shift, just use the trends as your guide. Don't try and nail the bottom based on a level from 3 years ago, 6 months ago, whatever. I know a lot of people do that, but in my opinion, it's much better rather than buying and hoping a level holds. You see a level hold, you see a bit of a shift, and then you have a clear level to play off of that invalidates your thesis or not, the level that we just held 2 hours ago, a day ago, 3 days ago, or whatever, by the time you've made your entry, recognizing a bit of a shift taking place. Subscription doesn't expire until May 31st. Yeah. Existing members, we always work with you for, we got people still on grandfathered rates from 8 years ago. Our first annual, yeah, we work with you. A bunch of people's annuals expire in May. My email said chat room membership. Where can you find that information? I'm not exactly sure what you mean. You mean aside from the email? Anyways, go to that page, the Black Friday deal, membership, overview. Tells you all about it there. I've got plenty of videos. If you look up Chart Guys Unboxing, I've done for past sales. Just look at last year's. May 24th, 2024. Chart Guys membership unboxing. Another one from 2023, obviously. Look at the more recent one. May 2025, there you go. That'll, still the same. 6 months later. I just posted that in the chat room. Same hat. I got some fashion advice on Twitter today that the hat's gotta go. Apparently, me wanting to stay warm in the winter is not okay. Biotech's held up really well during that dip. It is a rising wedge to be aware of. I have been keeping an eye on this for the last few days. We broke it bare with no follow through. I was watching this. It's all about 113. We got a base at 113. Look at this base on XLV. This is part of the reason we're not rolling over. XLV has held 151.14. 1, 2, 3. Today was another time. We broke it by 2 pennies. So if we're going to weaken, XLV falls through 151 teens, and that turns into resistance, and the biotech sector breaks 113. And I'm watching for it. Is it a laggard bear? Maybe. When trading, when is a good time to realize time to zoom out when trading the lower time frame? Okay, so good question. For me, it's as soon as I see something resolve that I'm watching for, or I see if I have a lack of clarity. So let me see if I can come up with a good example real quick here off the top of my head. So here, this bounce into the end of the day. Is this a 5-minute uptrend? Top out. There's a dink. This is what I call a dinky pivot. You can call that a 5-minute uptrend. I'm not going to argue with you. You could say that's not enough of a pivot to be a 5-minute uptrend, I'm not going to argue with you. But as soon as that happens, I zoom out to the 15-minute because I know a 15-minute lower high is the most likely scenario. And that's then where I have clarity. So if I'm watching, can bulls confirm a 5-minute trend change? And they do, then I zoom out. If we get choppy, then I zoom out. But I'm fairly often, time is a factor as well. I'm very often on the 1 or 2 minute time frame to start the day for the first 10 minutes. Then I'm on the 5-minute time frame for the first hour of the day. Come 10:30, 11 a.m., I'm generally going to the 15-minute time frame for clarity at that point. Not always, but more often than not. And I'm generally constantly flipping between the time frames and just determining, okay, this is where I have the most clarity. I'm just going to keep watching this until one of these trenches breaks, and then once it does, I'll zoom out. Until it does, I was on the NASDAQ 4-hour falling wedge into NVIDIA's earnings. And as soon as that resolved itself with the bull break on the reaction overnight, I said, all right, I'm not watching that 4-hour anymore. And I zoom out. Then I was on the 12-hour. So when I'm watching something on a shorter term time frame and it resolves, or when it gets a lack of clarity, I zoom out. There is no nearby line in the sand for SPY. For example, if we fast forward 2 months, whatever, if we go down to 620 and set a monthly high or low, that's a potential monthly bull flag. Look at the retracement here. We can drop to 610 and be 382 monthly retracement and still be a potential monthly bull flag. And that perfectly aligns with previous all-time high resistance to try and hold as support. So, line in the sand, it depends on what you're talking about. Short-term line in the sand. Again, these monthly charts, bears need control for months. We need another 5 to 10% of downside. I got to speed up here. I got to meet some bros for a comedy show. I'm waiting for daily oversold, ideally, before looking long. I want the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 both to get there. Lori has a live Wednesday YouTube. Do you have live YouTube channel during the market hours? We have live streams throughout the day. Again, they're on our yes, we live stream every day. I'm just trying to pull up the schedule. Every morning, some afternoons. So streaming schedule today was Dinzy and then Lamont at 3 p.m. Tomorrow's Lamont in the morning. Mondays I do the morning live stream, 9 to 10:30 a.m. All right, I got to skip some questions. I apologize. I was planning on 45 minutes. I'm wondering if there's a subscription only for chat room. No, the chat room, its membership is chat room, live stream, website access. Appreciate the hat compliment. All major sectors hit the lows at the same time today. I was shorting after it became clear. I shorted this 15-minute lower high on the NAT. I just missed nailing the Tesla top. I got stopped out right near that top. See the big dump. Okay, it's a bear day. I got this 15-minute lower high pretty good. I got this 2-minute lower high here. Shorted there. Took half off, and I've still got half. So yeah, it's definitely, I've been going to cash. If you've been following the content on Twitter, I talked about, don't fear being in cash and yada, yada. I've been saying organically going to cash over the last month just by my positions stopping out. I stopped out of a Walmart swing. Oh, you jerk. Earnings were good, I see. I stopped out of a Walmart swing on this fake outbreak, but locked in a 7% win or whatever. I stopped out. You know, I've just been stopping out of positions as I'm walking stops up. And I've got more cash in my IRA than I have at any point in the last 6 months. Organically. Thanks, Hawk. Have I already messaged people that have legacy rates? There's another like 8 people. Send me a message in Slack. Thanks, LockDoc. I do, when I'm traveling, I do put Slack on my phone, the chat room on my phone, and I'll have my laptop and I'll just stick my phone right there. So the phone's good for, I mean, you can listen to the live stream. Seeing is going to be a little tricky, but the chat room's good on the phone. Appreciate the likes. I definitely trade my IRA. My IRA is my swing account. I've got a fat long-term SPY position from COVID dump and from 2022 bear market. But other than that, it's my swing trade account. Day trade account, swing trade account. Swing trade account. My day trade account has a lot more than my IRA, maybe 3 times as much or something. All right, I appreciate you all tuning in. Feel free to ask any questions if you're watching this video after the fact, and I'll answer them once I delete all the dumb robots that are spamming it. Daily routine of deleting dumb robots. Check out the deals, courses, indicators, membership, ask the questions, do good things. See you in the weekend video or in the chat room.